Hi everyone, and welcome to Sweet Southern Sentiments card baking tutorial YouTube channel. This is my first video ever, so I ask for your patience and that you bear with me as I start off on this new journey. I've been a card maker for a while now and I absolutely love doing it. I use YouTube tutorials to gain a lot of inspiration, and there's a couple of people that I follow religiously, but this is my first ever attempt. While I'm not going to show you exactly how I make the card, I'm going to describe the process. I found that I take so long that I think that actually showing you the process would be much longer than anybody wants to invest the time seeing. The card you see in front of you I made for a colleague of mine that I work with, and I really look forward to sending this to her for Christmas. She's been very sweet and a big help to me. I started by taking a piece of craft cardstock and cut that down with a We Are Memory Keepers cut and scoreboard. And this is a scoreboard that I use. You can tell that it is a little wore. And probably, honestly, the scoring mechanism is probably due for replacement. It's starting to get a little dull, but it is working for the time being. Once I cut the cardstock down, I actually used the pen that comes in this and actually use that to score the line in the center and then fold the card down. The A4 size card, which is what I typically tend to use, is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I think that's pretty much standard for most home card makers. The background paper you see here that I used on this paper, I cut out with a stitched rectangle die, and the stitched rectangle dies I like are these from the Stamps of Life. They come in a variety of sizes, and I just like the clean cut and the stitching effect that they provide. And you can see it if you look along the edge of the paper here. After I found the paper that I wanted, and let me tell you a little bit about that, I actually used this, the Paper Studio paper pack that I found at my local big box store, and this one is from Old World Winter, and I just loved the plaid sheet of paper that came in that. So I trimmed that down, applied that to my base, and then I took another piece of cardstock and cut out an additional stitched rectangle die shape to use for my sentiment. The sentiment and the little elf you see there, I actually found from a My Favorite Things kit, and this particular one is called Santa's Elf, and there's a lot of cute images on there. I really liked this elf, and I liked the sentiment, "You're a friend like no one else," in particular for the colleague I'm going to send this card to. What I did was I actually used some Versamark ink and stamped out the sentiment, "You're a friend like no one else," and then I used some embossing powder, and then I heated that with my heat tool to set that. I took a piece of the dark red cardstock to use as kind of like a background to let those colors pop, and also something that would not let my little elf that I added here kind of get lost in that really busy background. What I did to color the little elf, and I'm definitely not a professional there, is I use some Copic markers. I see a lot of people on YouTube who are wonderful at blending. That's still something I struggle with, but I'm really trying my best to learn how to do. It's not too bad, but it definitely could be better. And then I took some glossy accents and used this to do both the Christmas bulb and the little bell at the end of the elf's hat. The only thing else I used was some ceramic dots, and they are from Recollection. You can get them in a whole lot of colors and sizes. This is the sheet that I used for this particular card because I liked how it blended in with the colored background excuse me, of this card. The only thing else I did was inside it, to make it easy to write a sentiment, not get it lost in that dark cardstock, was cut out a stitch rectangle die to be able to write a quick note in. So that is my very first card that I am actually showing on YouTube. And again, I hope to take a little bit longer in the future and make some actual tutorials where I show you the cutting process and everything. But until I really get the hang of this whole YouTube video uploading and everything, I wanted to start out simple. Like I said, I am a big fan of a lot of the card makers out there. You can find lots of card making tutorials. I look for inspiration, and I really hope that with this very short video, I'm able to provide some inspiration for others as well. If you haven't tried card making, I encourage you to do so if you like to craft at all. It gives you such a sense of satisfaction knowing that you've made it by hand, and I think it means a little bit more to the people you sent it with. One thing I forgot to mention too, and I want to do that now, is I love the Tim Holtz Distress inks, and there's one called Vintage Studio that I like in particular that I use to go around the edges of my cardstock and a lot of my images. I did not do that with the Elf, and in hindsight now I kind of wish I had. It would have made the whole card have that little bit older feel, but this was a vintage photo that I used to go around the edge. I just used a little square of or little square blending tool to do that. There's a lot of products out there on the market you can use. The important thing is really just being creative, just having fun with it. If you stress yourself with it, you're not going to want to continue doing it. So really have fun. It's the intent that matters more really than the end result, of course, even though of course we all want to have a lovely card when we're done. If you like this card and you think that you want to see future videos, I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe. I'm going to be putting a lot more of these out, and if things go well, I hope to do this on a more permanent basis. I'm just experimenting right now to see how I do. So please forgive the jitters, the shaky camera, the imperfections in the card, and I'd love to receive any feedback. Thank you all and have a blessed day.